Hey, good morning. It won't be morning when you see this, unless it is, because I guess people that watch it probably aren't gonna watch it the second it is. That's not the point. Do you want to get ready with me? Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Oh my god, my hair is a mess. I also do need to wash it. Please don't talk about it. Forehead reveal. I was gonna wash my hair today, but I want to dye my hair. Not a different color, I just want to touch up the brown because the lengths of my hair are still red. And it's a lot easier to dye dirty hair. Also, I wouldn't want to wash my hair and then dye it and then have to wash it again to rinse the... You know, I always forget how to do my makeup. Every single time. Where's my little mirror? Oh god. Hang on. Okay, tiny mirror acquired. I have just been feeling so insanely anxious. I talk a lot about my anxiety and my other mental issues on here because like a good portion of my content is mental health content, I'd say. And so a lot of you probably know that I have extreme anxiety. I was diagnosed with anxiety when I was 11. And I've mentioned before that my baseline feeling is anxiety. Like I'm pretty much constantly in a state of some sort of anxiety all the time. And sometimes I just feel more anxious than others. So over the last like decade, I've learned to pretty much cope with just feeling anxious almost, I'd say, all the time. But it does definitely get worse sometimes than others, and that's kind of what I've been experiencing the last few days. In 2016 and into 2017, I went to the emergency room like minimum once a week, but it was always because of like panic attacks. And I'm also a hypochondriac. I have severe medical anxiety, so like I was having these panic attacks that would convince me that I was literally dying and having like an allergic reaction or just like a heart attack or a stroke or some other medical emergency. And so I would go to the ER and they'd be like, you're fine, which first of all, medical professionals do actually do to women often, even when they are having actual issues. But I wasn't in these cases, except for the one time that I had an insane kidney infection and did in fact almost die. But like at the end of that year, the doctor, like the head emergency room doctor, sat me down and told me how many times that year I had been there, and I was so insanely embarrassed that I cried and haven't been back since. Which is a good thing, I guess, because it did force me to like, I don't know, it was kind of like an eye-opener, but now I'm always like, what if I'm like the boy who cried wolfing myself? Which is what happened to me on Friday. Well, I wasn't the boy who cried wolfing myself, I thought. Let's reverse a little bit. Whew. So at the beginning of 2017, I actually went to the mental hospital for separate reasons. Well, partially because of this, because I was like I couldn't function because my anxiety was constantly making me think I was dying, but then also like other mental issues that I had. And they were all making each other worse, and it was just like a whole thing. So I did go to the mental hospital, and then when I got out, I was feeling a lot better, and I wasn't having as bad of like episodes, I'd say. Like, I wasn't feeling the need to go to the emergency room as often, nearly as often, like maybe like once a month tops. But I didn't go, even when I felt like maybe I wanted to. That's such a satisfying noise. Also, I'm sorry if you can hear my neighbor's chickens. I feel like they're being really loud. This is all backstory to get to the point that I'm going to get to, okay? I swear the lore drop has a purpose. Pretty much my entire life, at least as long as I can remember, my anxiety has been like severely affecting my day-to-day life and my ability to do normal things and function. Like, I was like having a lot of trouble going to school my entire life. I missed so much fucking school. By the time I had graduated high school, my like absentee record was insane. Like, they were concerned. I got talked to many times and almost got kicked out, but I didn't. I graduated. And it wasn't until like, I'd say 2020 to 2021 that I really felt like I had any sort of grasp on it whatsoever. Like, upward incline of me starting to get a grasp on it did start like after I got out of the mental hospital, but I didn't really feel like I had a grasp until like 2020, 2021. But a problem I'm coming to realize is I feel like every single time I have a grasp on my anxiety in one way, it starts to manifest itself in other ways. The wind is also really loud right now. I'm so sorry. I feel like there's always so much fucking background noise in my videos, and I just like, for a while I like had a really good grasp on the like anxiety attacks that were making me feel like I was having a medical emergency. But then my anxiety around stuff like leaving the house got worse. And so this past year I've been having like, I don't know, more trouble just like doing things like leaving the house and going places that are like public, which I do feel is probably in part due to like the pandemic and whatnot, and also just like the rise in at least my like access to the knowledge of violence happening in public, especially when I'm alone. Like if I'm with like people I find comfort in, I can usually have a little bit better time, but like especially if I'm alone, I've just been having like a lot of trouble leaving my house. My eyebrows are never even. I don't know what I'm doing. I promise I'm getting to a point. Granted, this is mostly just a chit chat about anxiety because I know I'm a broken record and I say this in like every video in which I talk about any mental problems at all, but I like to talk about like my issues and stuff because like I would like to make other people feel less alone if they're going through the same or similar things, because I know when I was going through them and even now, I wanted to seek out creators that talked about or were going through the same things. And so if I can be that person for someone else, that makes my struggle a little more worthwhile, you know what I mean? Like it makes it feel a little more worth it. I don't think I can talk and do my eyeliner at the same time, I'm gonna be so honest with you. Oh god, I think this eyeliner's drying up too. Jesus Christ. Oh brother. Good enough. Nobody's gonna be looking at me super up close anyway. From a distance, it looks fine. I've literally never done my eyeliner even in my whole life. It's just not even a little even. That's so sick, so cool, so awesome. So awesome. Again, from a distance, it's probably fine. Whatever. God, I don't even remember what I was saying now. Oh, okay. What I was gonna say is I feel like I've been working on that form of my anxiety, like the having issues going outside, and I've been trying to force myself to go do things in public and especially alone. And so I've been like going on little walks to like the consignment shop and stuff by myself. And I had to, basically this was all to say that I had a different video planned for this week, and Friday is usually the days in which that I film my videos. But I was feeling kind of upset on Friday, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna go for a walk and like clear my head and like hopefully feel better. So I went on like a 3-hour long walk by myself, and I went to the consignment shop and the thrift store, and there was just a lot of people in the thrift, and at least 2 of them were like coughing and hacking, just like all over the place, not covering their mouths, and that was really stressing me the fuck out. Because first of all, who raised you? Like, what are you like, why are you coughing into the open in a public space? Especially after all the, like, I just don't understand at all. So that was making me like a little uneasy, a little uncomfy. And then I started getting what I thought were chest pains. I mean, they were. I was having chest pains. But I thought it was because of like a medical emergency type reason. And so I was a little like nervous, but I was still fine. And then I went home and I started to feel just like so anxious. And it started to feel a lot like the entirety of 2016 when I was going to the ER like all the time. And I just like could not, it felt like an allergic reaction, which I've also had. But it felt too similar to both that like I couldn't differentiate which was happening. And that was really freaking me out because, again, like I said earlier, I didn't want to The Boy Who Cried Wolf myself, where I was like, oh, like I'm too embarrassed to go to the emergency room because, like, what if nothing's wrong again and then it's happening to me again? But then what if I'm The Boy Who Cried Wolfing myself and something is actually severely wrong and this is the one time I don't go and then you know? But I found that I was able to, like, explain away enough of the symptoms as something else. Like, I was like, oh, I'm, like, shaky and, like, my heart rate is really fast, but 1, anxiety does that, and 2, I drank like a lot of coffee today, which I drank a lot of coffee all the time, but it was like a little bit more than usual, and I ate a little bit less than I probably should have. So, and I just tried to think about like all of the work that I had done to get past that. And I mean, it's never really gonna fully go away, but like I found ways to cope and I found ways to deal with it better. And I basically just like talked myself down from that point. But not really, because I, like, never really calmed down. I just, like, decided I had an excuse for it. That wasn't a medical emergency. And then, like, the entirety of yesterday, I just, like, was having, like, the residual feelings of, like, anxiety. Like, I hadn't quite shaken it, and I also was just, like, exhausted from having, like, so much, like, And I admittedly just felt, like, discouraged. And like so like upset because like again I've done so much work to get past that point and it hadn't happened to me in so long, it just felt like such an insane step backwards. Like the biggest step backwards. Like, however, that is just not like a productive way to think about that at all, or like a productive mindset in any way, shape, or form. And this goes for anything, but healing is not linear. Recovery is not linear. Having a bump in the road, having like a little setback, does not mean that you're any less on your healing journey, and it does not mean that you're any less like recovered. I don't know. And that goes for like any mental illness or mental issue like that. And it's something that I often forget, and I find myself like absolutely beating myself up for like experiencing symptoms of the things that I know that I have. Like, and it's like the only thing that could possibly come from that in that mindset is just more negative thinking and more of a downward spiral, more discouraging myself. And I find the more negatively I think about things, the worse all of my symptoms get. And so it's just like such a vicious cycle. And I really need to keep reminding myself that healing is not linear. Like, it's just not. And also, with a lot of things, they aren't going to completely go away ever, because that's just not how that works. I'm always going to have like a bit of a battle with it. It's just finding ways to minimize the struggle and cope with it, and like put in effort that I can put in to make it more manageable any way that I can. One of my main goals this year was like refusing to get embarrassed, because I find that a lot of my like anxiety in regards to going out in public and like stepping outside of my comfort zone and like doing anything really ever is just like my fear of being embarrassed, which like even like I didn't go to the emergency room mostly because I would have been embarrassed. And like if I was having an actual medical issue, granted I wasn't, but like in the future if I am having an actual allergic reaction and I'm too embarrassed to go to the emergency room, like that's not great. And I also just feel like I'm holding myself back all the time from all of the things that I want to do because I'm too embarrassed, or I'm afraid that I would be embarrassed. You know? And it's like I find myself every time I'm in public just thinking like, oh, these people are probably staring at me, I'm probably walking weird, like just things that don't make any sense whatsoever and nobody's actually thinking about, and nobody's probably even noticing me at all, let alone thinking that whatever I'm doing is weird. But like I said, I do feel like when I am learning to cope with my anxiety in one way, it manifests in another, which I just think it's interesting that on one of the days that I decide to go out by myself and go into stores by myself for like multiple hours, like that's when medical one comes back. Like, very frustrating, but again, it's like nice that I can like notice that pattern, because then I think I can find ways to deal with it better. Granted, a lot of it is also being scared of like germs and stuff, but like that's a whole other battle. I know I keep saying I had a point. I actually don't know that I did have like a central point. It was more just like I wanted to talk this out with myself, and I love talking to you guys, and again, if I can make people feel less alone. And also just to remind myself and other people that like it's not linear, and that's okay. And just because I'm always gonna have anxiety doesn't mean I have to be my anxiety. Like, you know, I don't have to let it define me. I'm a person outside of my anxiety. I'm a person outside of all of my mental disorders. I am more than the things that are wrong with me, and so are you. There's people being loud outside my window. Jesus. Great heavens. Oh my god, my hands are so dry. The skin on the backs of my hands is literally like in a constant state of peeling the fuck off in large layers, because I wash my hands like 80,000 times a day because I'm just grossed out by everything, and so I want to wash my hands before I do things and after I do them. So my hands are just so dry. I put lotion on them, I swear. I don't know why it's not working. I forget what step of my makeup I'm on. Slay. One of my other goals this year is also related to my mental illness, in the sense that I wanted to find my real personality, because I feel like I've just made my personality like my issues for so long, Not intentionally. It's just a lot of my life has been really focused on my mental problems. And so I really just would like to find out who I am as a person outside of those, which brings me back to, like, I am not the things that are wrong with me. I'm a person outside of those things. And I'd really like to get to know her. And I think I've done a pretty good job of that. I know this whole video has just been me talking about, like, still having issues, and, like, obviously I do, but I do think that I'm probably, like, I want to say I'm, like, the best mentally that I've been in, like, ever. But it's very hard to explain in words. But it's, like, feeling like I'm the best ever mentally that I've ever been makes big things like this happening more discouraging, because I feel like I'm at such a good place. Why is this still happening to me? But that just brings me back to healing is not linear, and this doesn't negate any of my progress whatsoever. And if it's happening to you, it doesn't negate your progress either. Oh, my camera's dying. That's okay. I'm almost done my makeup anyway. I haven't been doing anything to my lashes recently. I'm too lazy mostly, and then, like, my eyelashes are really straight and really short, and they don't hold a curl, so I don't usually even put mascara on them, because what's the point? And I've been too lazy to do my, like, DIY lash extensions, so I've just been doing nothing instead. Oh my god, hold on just a moment. My skin is so dry, it's, like, clinging to all the powder, and it makes me look cakey. I swear I prepped my skin. I moisturized, and I put on primer, and yet, whatever. It's fine. Skin texture is normal. So my makeup looks like I have makeup on, so what? Isn't that the point? Isn't that the point? Bada bing. And I cannot stress this enough. Bada boom. I'm not gonna put anything on my lips right now because I want to finish this coffee, and I feel like that's counterproductive. Other than that, I think my makeup's... Actually, no, I just straight up lied. I forgot blush. How could I forget blush? It's just too busy yapping at y'all to remember what the fuck I'm doing. Okay. Now, other than my lips, hair, and outfit, obviously, I think I'm done getting ready. Anyway, that was all to say, you're not alone, and you're also not your anxiety. Healing is not linear, and you're slaying, regardless. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next Monday.